Tractate Sanhedrin, page 77. The subject of murder or indirect killing, especially by confining some entities, is the core subject of today. The way that our Torah approach different laws, rules and regulations is not only an act of direct murder, but there are situations that one can cause another to die in the process or in the long run. Here are some examples. Question that poses to the late Rabbi Waldenberg, the famous author of the responsa called Tzitz Eliezer, great rabbi in Israel. The question was that it was a observant medical doctor that requested by the family to expedite the demise of a patient. And his claim was, number one, there is no clear direct will from the person. Number two, the person is not in a condition that in a way needs to die immediately. And obviously passive euthanasia is oppose the Torah law, the Jewish law and the spirit of Jewish tradition. The question is how far this medical doctor needs to go, such as if it's a question of him losing his license or losing his way of living, or he receive a big fine and things like that. If again the person did not have a clear will and is just request of some family members, based on our upcoming sugya, hopefully we have clarity on that. Another question Maharam Sheikh brought, those animals people don't like to see in their estate, mice for example. So is a fellow setting a trap. The problem is, if you do it on Shabbat, is one of the 39 prohibition, it's called tzad. So obviously it's different than murdering, but again is a violation of Shabbat law. How exactly you do in those cases, it's a matter of fact that the late Rav Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, asked, we're getting close to Sukkot, if a person allowed during the festival, some Sukkot have bees, right, goes around the sukkah, mosquitoes, bees, right, so the person can take a big cup and put it at the top of a bee, basically confining the bee, because if there's no oxygen along the way, as much as other bees can come for help, eventually it can cause, in the long run, death. We have people that throw away refrigerators. And as a matter of fact, I saw it in Israel, it's frightening. You see kids see in the street empty refrigerator or freezer, and they jump like playing seek and hide, right? And it's obviously dangerous because we cannot live without oxygen. So the big part of our discussion today, it's the three levels of confining death. One, if it's toward water, fire or other sources that you basically excluded or confined the entity that expedites the demise by lack of oxygen, or if a person was confined in a way that eventually it will happen indirectly or only in part. For example, a person was injured and you know if you don't give an assistant, eventually he will die. So you have the doctors provide, for example, a special injections, medications or things like that. And Mr. B comes in and he take away the medication. So basically by taking away, you can argue, and you said, he is not directly killed the person who's injured, for example. But it's called grama. Grama meaning you indirect caused his death because he's desperate need for that. So even he can survive for the time being, but taking away his medication, you basically cause him eventually to die. So as you see, all these subjects and more in the difference between Garma and others, the Rosh, for example, Rabbeinu Asher, you see it also in the Rambam. He followed what we learned yesterday, the Ravina, Ravina, by the way, according to the Rosh, is not the Ravina that we know by the Chatimat Talmud, the one who dealt with Rav Ashi, but he said that it was a Kadmon, it was an early Amorah, early rabbi in the Talmud. But anyway, he said, unlike Grama ben Nezikin Patur, he said, here when you have a confining, it's called Garmi. It's not really Garma, which means that if we follow the Chiyuv, as Rabbi Meir tells us, and we learned yesterday, and that's the way the Rashba explained that when it's come to Bari Hezekah, that it's clear that damage will come out, is Garmi and not Grama. So let's zoom in our Sugiyah. As we said, Sanhedrin, page 77, 7 lines from the top of the page. Amar Rava kfato umet bara'av patur. Here, Rava speaks about one who bound other and he died of starvation. So as far as the dry law, remember, we don't deal with the final, just get the point. He is exempt from liability to receive a court-imposed death penalty, as it was not his action that caused the death of the victim. Even if the victim was hungry when he was bound, the starvation that caused his death ensued at the large stage. The one who bound him is liable to be punished by the heavenly court, you can argue. The Ran emphasizes the explanation of Tosfot, saying that there is no alternative other than to explain that the person whom he bound was already hungry at that time, as otherwise it will be identical to the case of ultimately the son will arrive. So in case where there was already hungry, there is a novel element, since the hunger will not have killed him. It is not comparable to a case where one tied another in the sun. But this is the word of the Rambam, Hilchot Rotzeach Ushmirat HaNefesh, chapter 3, and I quote from the Koren edition: if one binds another, resulting in a death by starvation, although he is considered a murderer, he is not executed by the court. That's basically the view of Rava. Second one, Ve'amar Rava, Kfato Bachama Vamet, Batzina Vamet, if he did it while he was in the sun, die, or in the freezing cold, Sof Chama Lavo, Sof Tzina Lavo Patur. Eventually it will happen, ultimately cold or hot will reach the place, so he's exempt from execution. When he bound the victim, the future cause of death was not present. Ve'amar Rava Kfato Lifnei Ari. Yad Rama here explained at length that how far is the Grami in Grama, but anyway, כפתו לפני הארי, לפני התושין חייב, רבה שאמר אפילו לפני התושין נאמר פטור הנעז לבעתו עתו. Anyway, איתמר, כפה עליו גיגית ופרה עליו מעזיבה, if he overturned a vat upon another or breached plaster covering the roof, and lack of the ceiling caused another to die of exposure. So there's a disputation. Rava Rabbi Zera, Chad Amar Chayav, Chad Amar Patur. One said that he is liable, one said he's exempt from execution. Tistayem, you conclude, the Rava Uda Amar Patur, the Marava Kfatov Med Barav Patur, as we mentioned earlier. Ad Rabba, Tistayem the Rabbi Zera Uda Amar Patur, the Rabbi Zera Hayman the Amal the Ail Lechavre Beveita de Sheisha, one who is like homiletically a sealed house of marble, as he kindled a lamp for him. The whole reason is because that he kindling a lamp for him had lad like shraga la, otherwise he's not. So basically you see the same original case of overturned vat. So he said hatam amre hatam bela shraga la matchil havla. He said over there, without the kindled lamp, the atmosphere does not begin to cause suffocation. 77b bish ate, at the time of the perpetrator action, as the room is sufficiently large to enable the individual to breathe. Otherwise, the other case, the one overturned a vat upon another without kindle lamps, and the atmosphere begin to cause suffocation at the time of the perpetrator actions. So the two cases are not comparable. And it is Rava who exempt the one who overturned that upon another. Siman sulam tris samanim bechotel. First ruling, there are several. First one, Amar Ravad chafo lebor v'sulam bebor. One pushed another to a pit, and there was a ladder in the pit. Uba acher v'silko, and someone else came and removed the ladder. Vafilu ukadam v'silko patur. Even he came first and moved it. He is exempt. Because you were able to ascend and emerge from the pit. Number two, someone who shot an arrow to another, and there was a shield in the victim's hand. If another individual came and took the shield from him, number three, so that's all grammar. Number three, if he shot an arrow and the victim herbs in his possession, capable of healing the wound from the arrow before it become fatal. And another individual came in and scattered the herbs. Even he came first and did it, he's exempt from execution. The reason for that is at the time that he shot the arrow at him, the victim was able to be cured. So the idea is the arrow caused injury, but the victim died due to the unavailability of a cure. So as you see that you have three stages, the whole idea of confining. You have the immediate, you have the process, and you have just in small part, but it takes long time. So there's a book called Achiezer by Reb Chaim Oizer. He said that all the idea of someone who deserves execution is only in a direct action, but if someone intend to do something, so you have a din rodef, so that's totally different. You give example, Mosel said is din rodef. But after he did it, after he masar, so it's a problem. Anyway, אמר רב אשי ילקח אפילו סמנים בשוק, אמר לרב אחא ברי דרבה לרב אשי, נזדמנו לו סמנים מהו. So he said that it happened to enter the victim's possession, yet he neglected to use them and die. אמר לי הרי יצא מבדין זכאי, he left the court innocent. So because so long that you have some possibility for the victim to be healed, so using those herbs that he can heal from his wound, the one who shot the arrow is not a murderer. He's just one who caused death indirectly. It reminds me of a famous question that they asked the Chazon Ish, the great Rav Karelitz. They ask him, if someone is terminally ill with cancer, should we pray? You know that is a koach tefillah. We believe in the power of our prayer. So should we pray? Should we pray that his death will be shortened? So he said, no. In the spirit of Judaism, we pray to the very end, and we are obligated to pray, and we believe that sometimes even supernatural healing will happen. If you read the responsa World War II or post World War II, you see people have all kind of injuries. One of the famous responsa is someone have a severe so result of being in a camp and such a sort of hepatitis infection or some other the meteorological diseases. So it was samples the doctor have for cure for this type of things. So the person was he felt that there's no hope. And the doctor said, take those samples and use it. So that's what we said. Afilu cherv chadam unachat al tzavaro shel adam, even that there's a sharp sword, God forbid, in the throat of a person, al yitesh min harachamim, you should always have hope. ואמר רבא זרק בצורו בכותל וחזרה לאחוריה והרגה חיה, ותן נתונה כגון אלו המשחקים בכדור שהרגו במזיד נהרגים בשוגי גולין. So a famous story, people play with the ball, and that ball unfortunately killed another by hitting him with a rebounding ball. You know, sometimes balls are very heavy and can transfer from one to another and can hit someone. So if it was intentional, obviously, so they are executed. But if it's unintentional, so they are exiled. בשוגג גולל פשיטה במזין נרגין נצטריך למה ולתמה התרעת ספקי מימר דאדרה כמש מלן. תני רב תחליפה בר מערבה משמי בר מערבה קמי דרבי אבאו כגון אלו המשחקים בכדור שהרגו תוך 400 פתוח חוץ ל400 חייב. אמר לרבינו לרבה שיחדמי אידה כאן ניחלה אפילו פורטנמי איד לא ניחלה אפילו טובה נמי לא. אמר לי סתם משחקים בכדור כמה דעה לתפי מנח ניחלה. לממרא דחאגב נקוחו ורמינו המקדש ונפל קידוש על ידו על הצד ואחר כך נפל השוקת פסול. אחא מה יסקינן בשוטט תשמע מחט שהייתה נתונה על החרס ויזה עליה ספק על המחט הזה ספק על החרס הזה ומצא עליה הזעתו פסול. אמר רב חיננה בר יהודה משמי דרב מצא איתמר